favorite, one of my favorites up here in northern Boise, Highlands Hollow Brewhouse. We're here at Highlands Hollow Brewhouse in Boise for lunch and a beer. We're going to talk to Chris Compton, brewmaster, in a minute. Highlands Hollow Brewhouse has been part of the craft beer scene in Boise since the beginning in the early 90s. It's just a neat place, a local favorite, and for good reason. Just a neat atmosphere, neat people, great food, and lots of it. Here's a mushroom burger with a salad on the side. I had a club sandwich with home-cut fries. This was just great. And they bring you a whole toolbox full of condiments so you can make it up any way you like. But it's really all about the beer. Great beer. And the neat thing is, these people love what they do. I like that. I'm here with Chris Compton, brewmaster here at Highlands Hollow. We're going to talk about...
Okay, we're talking about beer.
Show me how it's done.
I'll talk about beer for as long as you want. There you go.
Beer from the fermentation tank to the bright tank. We're carbonated. And we'll be ready to go into one of the serving tanks and some kegs.
So this is where it all happens. How long does it take for a batch of beer?
From brew to tap, everything goes well about 14 days.
Okay.
It's usually 4 or 5 days of fermentation, and then I do a 3-day cooling down, bring it down to temperature. Then there's harvesting yeast and flushing yeast out. And it's nice if we can condition for a little bit in here before it goes into a keg or into the serving tank.
So how many beers do you have going?
We have 9 on tap. We have 8 that are constants, and then we have 1 seasonal handle, bringing something different.
So you've been brewing beer since 92?
93.
93
Yeah.
there. When you're doing seasonals, I mean, do you experiment, or do you have recipes that you work from, or?
You know, no, actually, what I'll do is I'll get in mind, it depends if I want to go with a particular style. Then I'll research that style, look at the parameters of it, color, IBUs, alcohol content, that kind of thing, maybe a little history of it. And work with what I have as far as the hops I can use or yeast, that kind of thing. And then I'll design a recipe for it, and I'll have in my mind what I want, you know, kind of what I want it to taste like. And I'll brew it, and we'll find out. So far, for the most part, I haven't been disappointed. You know, usually they turn out to be pretty good, pretty drinkable, and they've gone over pretty well. So.
But it seems like that the creative process is probably half the fun.
Yeah, I like that part. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of anxiety with it too, because a lot of places have little pilot batches, you know, so they can do a small run and think, you know, okay, we need to tweak it this way or that way, but we don't have that capability, so it's sort of put it on paper first, and then just make sure that everything that's in there, you know, should come out just about right. And it does usually, you know. It's not, you never know going in exactly what it's going to be like, but usually it comes out to be within the range of what what you have in your head. It's like,
yeah, and that's where the experience comes in, knowing what you need to do and what ingredients to use to get the right direction.
Yeah, what effect they're going to have. Sometimes you try new things. You know, you'll read about something, or you'll hear about something from another brewer, and you'll try another little new technique. And that's fun too, you know, because you're not exactly sure what it's going to be. I don't usually try to do anything very radical. Be flexible enough to know what people like. Lidbeer is one of my favorite stories about their Hefeweizen. That basically it was sort of a mistake, and I can't remember all the details, but you know they sold it. And it's like, wow, people loved it. And so now it's their signature beer.
Yeah.
You know, it's their flagship, and it sort of came out of, it wasn't what they had in mind. You know, they just sell tons of it now. But that's because they were, you know, they're flexible enough to go, hey, look what we got. People like it. Let's replicate it. Let's do that again. And so, and also, you know, if if you've been drinking beers over the last 15 years, you've seen what happens in the market with, I think we talked about that too, the big beers, big hoppy beers are now the thing. People really like those. So, you know, breweries, of course, are saying, well, let's put out something like that. Let's, you know, let's go ahead and give people what they want. And that has been going on, I think, for a surprisingly long time. The hoppy beer thing has really taken hold and has stayed.
Because from what I gather, not being an expert, I'm a fan of your beers, but the hoppiness is the bitterness.
Yeah, yeah. Generally that's, you know, you can get.
Back in the day, I'm thinking of beers like ESB.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was, you know, like Red Hook ESB was always a nicely hopped beer, and they changed the recipe. And in my mind, I haven't read anything or been told, but it seemed to me to coincide exactly when Budweiser got a hold of them. That recipe changed. That used to be one of my favorite beers, and I don't really care for it much.
Oh, I didn't realize.
20%, and all of a sudden something happened. And it may be something else. I don't know. In your stouts and porters, that's where you're going to get that roastiness. That's going to come from the roast barley, chocolate barley, black, patent, and those are giving it its color, and that's where you get that mouth feel by coming from those dark ones. There's, you know, you're fermenting with sugars. There's maltose and dextrose that's coming out of the grain. Dextrins are unfermentable sugars, and there's a lot of those in darker malts. So they come out, they're not going to ferment, but those are the sugars that give you head retention, and that mouthfeel, and that full, you know, that full body to the beer.
Yeah.
So that's why those dark beers have that characteristic versus, you know, an amber will have a little bit of that, because there's the crystal malt in there giving it the color, and there's going to be some of that, but it's not going to be as much the darker you get. That's why, you know, you pour a stout, it's got that thick head, and it stays, and that's why. Versus a light beer you pour it, and it's got a head, that head will dissipate fairly quickly. And hops can help with head retention too, and generally you balance your hops and your malt out, because the malt is the sweet part. Hops, you need to put some hops in, otherwise you're going to have a real sweet beer, which is, to a point is okay. You know, some beers are supposed to be maltier. That's a style, that's fine. A little unbalanced towards the malt side, great. That's a style of beer, balanced with the hops and the malts playing together pretty well. And then you've got your IPAs, double IPAs, and that's where the hop takes over. And so that's
kind of the new thing, is like a lot of IPAs and double IPAs.
Double IPAs, double black
and
IPAs.
Where does the, I mean, it's India Pale Ale, but where does the name behind it, the India Pale Ale, come from?
This is one of my favorite stories. It was back in colonial England when they had colonies in India, and they would ship beer there.
Yeah.
Over the seas. And by the time it got there, it was spoiled. They didn't have refrigeration. So what they realized is hops are a natural preservative. So what they're going to do is, okay, let's make this beer, but let's just dump in a bunch of hops to help preserve it. But when you get that much hop in, when you get that much bitterness, it throws it off, so they added more malt to balance with the hops, which malt creates more alcohol. So IPAs have a higher alcohol content, and they got a lot more hop, so they could ship it over there, and then when it got there, it was fine, they could drink it, and that's where the India Pale Ale came from. It was just a matter of function, really. There wasn't somebody saying, hey, let's try this. It's like, we need to figure out a way to get beer across the oceans and without refrigeration, and that was their solution.
Oh.
So,
okay.
That's, and IPAs, and I like a really good IPA. I'm a big fan. The problem with IPAs, again, is they have a tendency to have more alcohol. And I also like to drink more than 2 or 3 beers. And you get those big beers, and it's like, well, I just better make sure that I'm going to be going home or that I'm at home.
Exactly.
You know, because I'm not going to be able to have, you know.
Or somebody else is driving.
Yes, there you go. We had a great deck party here in June where Table Rock, the Ram, and Sockeye brought their beer down here. And we've also done one for St. Patrick's Day up at Sockeye. And we're doing one at the end of the month down at Table Rock. We're bringing every other brewery's beer here to the other breweries for people to go there to try it. But I had the best time visiting with the other brewers and drinking their beers, but I believe it was Josh at the Sockeye had a double IPA. And it's like, okay, I'm not drinking that until I'm ready. I don't live very far, so when I'm ready to walk home, I'm gonna have 2 of those, and then that'll be the end of my. Because I know if I start, if you start with those, it's gonna be rough. I like it. I've had real jobs before.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, let somebody come in and sit at the bar. They're like, just like, how long does it take to do it? And 5 minutes later, they're wishing they hadn't brought it up to me because I'm just still like, I can do it.
It's kind of interesting because I was talking to Jerry the other day, and I know Jim, Chris Rogers, original brewmaster and a lot of recipes of his, started in his garage.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like, well, it's kind of good to open a brewery, but it's kind of awkward in the garage.
Yeah, he was. And Terry Dennis came a lot to this homebrew together. So that's what made it so bad. So it's pretty cool.
But it's kind of neat to, everybody here in town.
Yeah.
Because, with my family who comes out of Stone, it's like, Stone Brewery's always into doing joint ventures, and with their anniversary, they have 50 different breweries down there.
Yeah.
Everybody brings their beer, so it's like, these items, they're not, maybe there's a little bit of friendly competition, but if you do it right, there's enough, beer drinkers for everybody.
Your pals.
Yeah.
I love getting together with other brewers.
The only competition is people like Budweiser and stuff that we don't care about.
Yeah, that's the thing. We knew that earlier. Is what's important is we open the table. We're not competition. We're working together to bring in everybody we can to try this type of beer. There's a market there. We need to get those people in, so we need to tell people, try here, have them send people here. And actually, for a while, behind both bars, there was a map. Should have different brewery to brewery. So somebody came in, how do we pick this? Will take me to Shore Street, where's the streets? Because, we need everybody to, the more people we have trying this beer, the better off we are. Absolutely. So, yeah, we definitely. If I run out of something, or if I need a grain, if I need some hops, I have no problem calling the other guys and say, and they can call me too. So,
I think everybody's brain about it.
oh yeah, we visit a lot.
So what are you doing?
Well, it's not just, what do you got coming up? What are you doing? We'll try a beer, we'll get together at one of the places, and this just came out, when we can talk about it, but it's fun to be with people who, there's not a big group of people who share this experience. Home brewers are great. It's not the same as having to put stuff out there. Make sure you get that feedback. So everybody's had stories or experiences and screw-ups. I love talking about screw-ups. You did that? Oh, I gotta tell you what I did, Well, everybody, it happens to everybody. Because it's free, you panic when it happens. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna just do it.
Well, hey, I want to say thanks for your time. We'll be back again soon.
Oh, bring in.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Even the wallpaper is cool. If you're a guitar player or a skier. And on top of that, they also have a full bar. So next time you're in Boise, check out Highlands Hollow Brewhouse. You can hide out inside by the fire during the winter time, or during the summer, hang out on the patio. Have a cold beer, have some good food. Highlands Hollow Brewhouse. It just doesn't get any better. Check out their website, highlandshollow.com. And be sure to follow us at todaysidaho.com, where you'll find something new about Idaho just about every day. todaysidaho.com. Let the locals know.